Hi, now we are going to see about Perl. Perl stands for Practical Extraction and Reporting Language. In this tutorial, we are going to see these contents, introduction, scalar variable and list, arrays and hashes, operators and precedents, conditional statements and loops, regular expressions, subroutines, file and directory handling. First, we will see what is Perl. Perl is an interpreted language that is optimized for string manipulation, input and output, and system tasks. How it is going to do this, that you come to know at the end of this tutorial. Why we are using Perl? First point is speed of development. Don't have to compile, create object file and then execute. Here it is an interpreted language. So each line of the code will be converted into machine level language and it is executed. Okay, so it is speed of development. And next point is power of flexibility of a high programming language. So it is a high level abstraction language so that user can easily understand. To learning the Perl also very easy. And another point is it is freely available and portable. So by default, along with the Linux, we have the Perl interpreter. If you want to use in Windows, you can download it and you can use it. Okay. So these are the features. We are mostly using Perl for scripting. Then we are going to see the basic syntax of Perl. To create a Perl program, only a text editor and the Perl interpreter are required. The text editor, we can develop the code, and using the interpreter, the code is converted into machine level. The first line of any Perl script, we are using this shebang line. It tells that where this Perl interpreter is present in the system. The location of the Perl interpreter we need to mention in the shebang line. Okay, this line should be the first line of the script. Then to comment a particular line, you can use this hash symbol. All statements should be end with semicolon. Then this $_. Okay, this is a special variable to indicate a default variable, or you can say current variable. The usage of this $_ that we will see while discussing the arrays. Perl is a case sensitive. It will treat smaller case and uppercase as different. A simple program. Here in this example, first line we written the shebang line. Then I'm going to print welcome to Perl. Okay, this line within double quote you should mention. So it will consider as a string and it will print. So in terminal you will get this display, welcome to Perl. Then we have options like -c. So along with this shebang line, if you mention -c, so it will check for the syntax. If any syntax errors are there, it will report. Otherwise, it will give syntax OK. So likewise, we have these options. -c, we already saw here, right? So this will be useful to check the syntax and exit without executing the script. If you mention -v, print the version of the Perl executable. -w, it will print warning, if any, in the code. -e used to enter and execute a line of script on the command line. Okay, that we will see how we are going to use the Here in this example one ex1.pl, PL extension tells that it is a Perl file. So first line you should mention is cbang line. To know that where the Perl interpreter is available, you can use this command which Perl. It will give the path. So this path you can copy and paste it here along with this hash not. Then how to run a Perl file, that we will see here. So there are two ways. One way you can run using Perl, then file name ex1.pl. Okay. Here I used this print hello all, welcome to Perl programming. So these two prints are get printed in the terminal. Here, if you want to command a particular line, you can use hash executed. I'm getting one time. If you want to command multiple times, you can use this method. Line number 3 to 6. Okay, in between that line number 4 and 5, I command. Okay, multiple lines. If you want to command, you can use this equal to. Instead of start, you can give any name here. You can give head. Okay, you can give any name. And end, you should give equal cut. Using this, you can comment multiple lines. Then now this is the one way. Perl file name, it will get executed. So another way, you can use // file name / example1.pl. Okay, this is the another way to run. If you use this way // file name, okay, you should make that file executable. Okay, by default will not executable. For example, this green color, these files are I give executable permission. This example 3, example 4, I didn't give executable permission. So it is in black color. Okay. Let's -L, you can see the permission. I gave read, write, and execute. X is indicate executable permission. Okay, the first one is user. Okay, and second one is for team or group. Third one for all the others. So here for file example 1 and example 2, I gave this permission read, write, execute permission for all user, group, and others. But this example 3, I didn't give permission. So I use that / example 3 permission denied. So you should give permission, executable permission with the help of chmod. Chmod 777, we give all permission are given for that file. Example 3.3. All permission we give. So now we can use this command // okay, now next we are going to see this option usage of the option. I told -c along with this cbang line. If you mention -c, it is checking the syntax and it is giving syntax okay. Instead of giving this, you can also mention here Perl -c example1.pl. Syntax okay. So here also you can mention, and on another option you can mention here. Likewise, you can give warning, and we have V to check the version. So this is the version we are using, Perl version 5.20.2. Larry Wall, he invented this Perl. He is the inventor of the Perl. Then another option, E. Okay. With the help of this E option, you can directly give the Perl command in the command line. Within the single quote, you need to give hello. Directly you can able to run this. It is printed in the same line. /n, new line will be created so that it will move here. So this is the usage of the options. Next, standard files. In Perl, there are three standard channels. One is stdin. It is used to get the input from the user. It is normal input channel for the script. And stdout, it is the normal output channel. Through this channel, the outputs are sent to the command line or terminal. We are getting the outputs, right? Through this stdout, we are getting. Okay, the another channel stderr. It is normal output channel for error. Okay, here in this example, and we are printing enter the text. Then using this stdin, through this input channel, we are receiving the user input and we are assigning that value to this input variable. Okay, to store the scalar value, you should use this dollar before the variable. So this input, whatever we are giving uh, in the command line or user input, that will be stored in the input variable. Then using print, we are printing the value of that variable. We should use this dollar input to give the value which is stored in this input variable, that it will get printed. So here if we see, enter the text is printed. Assume that we are giving this as an input. This is the input. So using this print, we are getting this output. This is input. In this example too, enter the text. Then using the stdin, we are going to get the user input, and that is going to assign for this int input variable. Okay, you should use this dollar to store the scalar inputs. Then you enter whatever we enter, that is going to print here. You enter that value or a string. Then I'm going to print welcome to Perl program using this stdout. Okay, by default, this print take this std output channel. I didn't mention this also. Whatever I mentioned here, that is passed through the stdout channel. And we have another output channel, that is stderr, especially we are using for errors. So I will explain the difference. Okay, now I'm going to run this to enter the text. entered hello all. I'm getting you enter $INP. Okay, that's nothing but hello all. Welcome to Perl programming. So this print we are getting line number 5, whatever we mentioned that we are getting here, and line number 6 that also we are getting here. Now I'm going to print the output into out.txt file. Here this one indicates that print the output into this out.txt file. If I print it, if I enter this, it is I need to give the inputs for std. I give a hi all, and okay, see here I entered hi all. I am getting only this getting error, right? I'm not getting this welcome to Perl program. Okay, that is the difference. You see, go to that out text and see. Okay, enter the text. You enter the text. It is printed. Okay, we entered hi all, and it is printing. You enter hi all. Then welcome to Perl program. Okay. So when you use std out, if you mention the output wants to print into a file, it will print into that file. But std error, it is a separate channel. There are two channels for output. One is std out. Okay, std out, it will by default it will print in the terminal. If you want to print inside the another file, if you mention, that will print into that file. But std error will not behave like this. std error, it is always print the output. It's a separate output channel. It always print the output in the terminal. See here, we are getting error here in terminal. It's output. So that is the difference between std out and std error. Then variables. First one is scalar variables. Holds a single value. It may be string, number, or reference. It is beginning with this dollar symbol. In the early example, we saw using this dollar variable name. That is used to hold or store some string, number, or reference. It is example $var. After this dollar, you should give a letter. You see, followed by letter, then by letter, digit, or underscore. First thing should be letter. After this dollar, you should give a letter. After that, you can give a digit or underscore like this. So directly, if you not supposed to use $1 or dollar underscore like this. First, you have to give letter, and then you can use digits if you want, or if you want to use underscore, you can use like this. So inside this, we can store any scalar values, strings, or decimals. Variable interpolation. Interpolation takes place only in double quotation mark. So in this example, I assign 12 to x variable, $x. For this, assign this digit. I'm printing this value using single quote. Value of x is $x. When I use single quote, it will not interpolate the value. $x hold value 12, but it won't print when I use single quote. It will print as it is. Value of x is $x. If you use double quote instead of single quote, it will interpolate the value. Okay, the position where we use this $x, the corresponding value you will get. The value of x is 12. Then character strings that are enclosed in double quote accept escape sequences for special characters. Okay, escape sequences means these are the escape sequences used along with the backslash /b. This for backspace /small l forces the next letter into lowercase \capital L. Allowed following letters are lowercase /n new line /t for tab /u force next letter to uppercase /capital U. All following letters are uppercase. So this double quote will accept these escape sequences. For example, I'm going to print pi/t value is 3.14. Okay, this /t is a escape sequence used to introduce a tab between these two. So it will get printed like this: pi tab space value is 3.14. Then now we are going to see the list functions. Before that, what's a list means? It is a group of items, a group of scalar items. So this is one group, 1, 2, 3 group. This is one list, and this is another list, 4, 5, 6. Here I'm going to print these values like this. Okay, it is, if I use comma here, it is concatenate these two. Okay, or you can use dot. Okay, dot here, dot is used for concatenation purpose. Here I am going to print these two lists by concatenating them. Then use of join. A list is joined into a string using join function. Using join function, we can join the elements of the list. If you mention the scalar values inside the bracket, this is called list. Here, using this join function, I am going to join these elements with the help of this one. Okay, here in this position within the double quote, I mentioned a space. I didn't any representation. I didn't mention here. Just an empty space. So this, using this space, I'm going to join these elements. So it will display like this: per space is space a space scripting space language. You get like this. In case if I use comma here within this double quote, using comma it will join all the element of the list. So call comma is comma a comma scripting comma language. Likewise you will get. Then split function. The string is splitted into a list using split function. Here split, okay, whatever you are mentioning here, there it will create a split. Okay, here I used a colon. It is the given string. The given string, between the letter we are using this colon. Here I am mentioning inside this forward slash, I am mentioning colon. So wherever colon is present in the given string, it will split. The remaining it will display using this print. So you will get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Instead of this, assume that I am using comma 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I use comma here between this forward slash, so wherever comma is present, it will make a split that comma and the remaining will get printed here. That's the use of split. Then map. Okay, map evaluates expression for each element of the list. Here in this example, I am combinedly use this join and map. First, we will see the usage of map. Map LC. LC is indicate that lowercase. I'm going to apply this lowercase for all the elements in the list using map. So this will be converted A, capital B, capital C will become small a, small b, small c using this LC. And I'm going to print with the help of join. Here in join I mentioned comma. So this small a, comma b, comma c. This comma joining these elements of the list. Then grep. Grep returns a sublist of a list for which a specific criterion is true. Here we see print grep of not of x. So it will grep other than x. So not of x we mentioned. So it will capture A and it is printed A, B and B. It won't take x because we are mentioning not of x. It will grep the remaining alphabets. Variables. In that first we discussed arrays, scalars. Now we are going to see arrays. So arrays and one-dimensional ordered list of scalar variables. Okay. Here, this list, this is a list. Okay. When you assign this list to a variable, that is the array. Okay. That is represented by @ symbol. If you represent the array variable, we should use this @ symbol. Array without a name is called list. The list, if you assign a name for a list, that is an array. Elements of an array are accessed using the index number. You see in this example, @num. So we create an array. Perl, you can use string, numbers, floating values, anything you can use here. So we want to print this 2. So this index, the index of this Perl is 0. This is 1 and this is 2. Here $num of 1 is representing this 2. So we will print value 2 here. Array functions. Each element in an array is scalar. $array name. So this is array name. This is used to get the last index of the array. If you want to get the last index value, use this $array name. Then this empty bracket represents empty list. Then this dot is used to concatenation operation. Using that, we can mention the range of the values in the list. For example, @x equal to in the bracket 1 ... 3. So it means that it represents the list containing value 1, 2, 3. An example, @num equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Print \@. So this @ will be treated as @. So it will print as a @ itself. Num has, using this $array name num, I can get the last index value. Actually, here if you see the index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 4. If I add with that, if I add 1 with that, so that I will get the number of elements present in that array. So dollar as num give the last index value. Last index value is nothing but 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. 4 plus 1, 5. So 5 elements are there. The array functions have push, pop. This push function add the value or values at the end of the array. At num is the array. Push of this array name, comma, whatever the value you want to add at the end, you can give. If you mention 6, it will add 6. If you mention use some list 6, comma 7, if you mention, it will add at the end 6, comma 7 will be added. And print at num, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 is added at the end. And pop function get the value or values from an array. If from the last, it will pop out. Pop at num. If I mention, it will pop out 5. Then I am printing the remaining value at num. It will print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I popped out here. If I assign this to some variable, scalar variable, if I print, I will get 5. So this push and pop used to insert and pop out the value at the end of the array. This unshift and shift. Okay. It is used to add the value or remove the value from the front of the array. You will see here. Unshift function add a value or values at the start of the array. Num array name. Array contain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Unshift of array name, 6. Okay, so it will add 6 at the beginning, starting of the array. The same way shift is used to remove a shift of the first element of the array. This example num consists of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shift at num array name. So it will shift the first element. So this $x is a scalar. This scalar element, right? You are assigning this one to this x variable. Then we are printing the $x. You are getting 1. Then slice. Array slice is a section of an array. That is, if you want to take a particular portion of the array, you can use the slice method. So here, based on the index, we can able to slice the array. Like here, this example at num equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At num array name within the square bracket. You should use the square bracket. Here you need to mention the index. 0 indicates this one and 1 indicates this 2. So we are slicing the array and that is assigned to another array VAL. This VAL contains value 1, 2. So that we are printing along with the join. The joining using this comma. So it will print 1, 2. Splicing an array. Okay. Array splicing means adding element from the list to the array. Okay. Here in this example, num is the array, it holds this element. VAL is array, it holds this element 6, 7. Using this splice, first is array name, okay, where we are going to perform splice. So in this array at num, 4, okay, in which index we are going to insert the given array. At value we need to insert where we are going to insert that index value. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here we need to insert this at VIL, and this 0 indicate that if we want to replace any value, you can mention number of values to replace here. If I mention 0, I'm not going to replace here. I just going to insert at this fourth location. So the output I will get, if I print this 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 5. Okay. Like that I will get the output. I will explain with one more example. Okay, here num is the array we have. The same example we discussed in this slide. Run this. The 6 and 7 are inserted in this fourth index, and we mentioned 0, so it is not going to replace the existing one. It will add in this position. Okay, now if I mention 2 here, and here also if I mention 2, what it means is in this array position 2, index 2, which is 2, this is 0, this is 1, this is 2. So I am going to insert the given value or given array at value at this second position, and if I mention 2, I'm going to replace these 2 elements with this existing 2 elements. Okay. So if I run this 1, 2, and this position, this value array is inserted 6, 7, and it replaces the 2 elements 3 and 4, and the remaining 5 we are getting. These are the arguments we should use along with this splice function. Then reversing an array. Reverse function is used to reverse the element of the array. So reverse is a method available. So this is the given num array. Reverse at num. To use, it will get reversed. It is stored in another array at rev. And if you print that, it will get printed. So using join, I'm going to join the elements using comma. So it will get printed in reverse order 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then another variable is hashes. Okay, hashes is nothing but it is similar to associative array. Okay. It handles attributes and value pairs. Okay, first element in each row is called key, and the second element is the value associated with that key. It is represented using this percentage symbol. Okay, example percentage OS in this bracket. First is nothing but a key, and next is a value for this corresponding key. Linux, VLSI, Windows software. So Linux and Windows are key, and value and software are VLSI and software are values. Let's see one example here. So this is the one way we can create associative array. Here it is called hashes. Percentage data John, it is a key, and for the corresponding value for John is 45. These are 30, 40. or you can use this way. You can use key and using this equal to greater than corresponding value for that key, comma, then next key and corresponding value. Here I am just print the value of each key and just to print this as it is. Okay. Backslash dollar data John equal to, here dollar data, you should use this curly bracket, okay, and inside that give the index, so you will get the corresponding value for this index. Example 5, we are getting the value for this corresponding to John 45 is 30, 40. So this is the way you can use the hashes. The remaining we will discuss later.